For USCFootball.com, Connor Morrissette and Chris Trevino were here on campus after USC's Tuesday practice of Nebraska week. The bye is behind us. I hope you had a nice off week. Chris, how's it going?
I'm rested, you're rested, everyone's rested. I'm ready to go through the second half or the final stretch of this season. It was also a little hot today. It was like approaching 90 degrees. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, 93 degrees. We'll get to injury updates in a second. But Walker Lyons, we asked him, it's going to be in the 40s in Lincoln, maybe even colder as the night gets later, 90 degrees today. How do you prepare for that big temperature drop? He said, well, we can't really prepare for a 50-degree temperature drop, but we'll do everything we can to get ready. Sounds like no rain. I know you said off the air, a small chance.
Yeah, 4% chance, 4%. That's still a chance. My suggestion for dealing with it, no water, hot chocolate on the field.
On the field.
On the Gatorade bottle, just hot chocolate.
I don't know if that's a good suggestion. It's a funny joke, though, Chris.
I'm an ideas man. It's not a joke. It's a real thing.
In Notre Dame, it rained, but it wasn't as cold. This is going to be the coldest game of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for it, though. Blackout, sold-out crowd, Lincoln Memorial Stadium, 45 degrees. I don't know. I'll be ready. I'll be suited up. I hope you'll be warm in the press box.
Which we sound like two soft West Coast people right now. 45, in the grand scheme of things,
it could be colder. Cold. It could be colder.
Anyway, injury updates. So, Elijah Page ran out as he's been coming out, ran out. Killian O'Connor was back. Lincoln Riley was asked about the offensive line. Could we expect it to return to how it was the beginning of the season? Even though those guys were out there today, he said we cannot guarantee that right now.
He says they're better, but they're still working on things, seeing if it's feasible that they could play this weekend. Just gut. I feel like Killian O'Connor maybe a little bit too early for him. Maybe he needs another week, and it is a short week, so maybe after that. Elijah Page obviously seems very, very close after suiting up, against Notre Dame to not actually play. But he looks eager to get back out there. We'll see. I mean, we're going to talk about the offensive line a little bit, but does it go back to normal? I don't think it'll be 100% what we saw at the start of the season, but Elijah Page could definitely make his return this weekend.
If he plays, then Raymond goes to left guard, Micah Banuelos goes to the bench.
Alani Noah back to his right guard spot, and then
not back to. That's where he's been, right?
Yes. Sorry, excuse me. Alani Noah stays there. Micah Banuelos to the bench. Tobias Raymond kicks inside to left guard once again. Then you got your Twin Towers back on that left side between Page and Raymond. Run behind those guys all night long.
It's going to be a big part of the game, of course. King Miller, Brian Jackson, Lincoln Riley talked on Trojans Live about how they're pouring reps into those guys. They didn't like the running game effort against Notre Dame. Should be able to move the ball easier against Nebraska on paper, so we'll see how that goes. Other injury stuff today, Chris. So we didn't see two defensive linemen. We did see Jakeem Stewart. It's a bit of a game we play. Is he going to practice Tuesday? Is he going to practice Wednesday? He did not practice Wednesday of last week, but was out there Tuesday, which was change because usually it's Tuesday where he'd be out, but he was out there today. We'll see if he's out there tomorrow, if he's going to do the double feature for the first time in a while.
Yeah, first time in a while. We'll see. It's like you said, it's like a bingo game or something. It's confusing was the word you were looking for. But yeah, fully suited out today. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Tamir Robinson was also a returner back in pads after missing the bye week. Kind of gave him a little bit of rest. And then Zacharias Williams as well was suited up for the first time in over a month.
We saw Floyd Boucard, but he was moving better, not looking like he's going to play, though.
Yeah, I would be shocked if he played, but he does definitely seem like he is progressing, walking a lot better compared to when we saw him during the bye week and then immediately after the Notre Dame, or going into the Notre Dame week, So I'd be shocked if he played, but at the end of the day, he is getting better.
DJ Harvey still not practicing as well. So Lincoln Riley spoke today, Chris, and he talked about last year when USC played Nebraska. That was Jaden Maiava's first start. They made the change, benching Miller Moss before that bye week after the Washington loss, and then putting out Maiava against Nebraska. And the adjective that Riley used to describe the improvement that Maiava's made from that start to this start now against Nebraska was shocking. And that's improvement as a leader, improvement as a player, improvement with decision-making. It really is shocking. I want to give Maiava credit because I certainly thought eventually he could get here, but it's really impressive how much better he's been this year.
No, absolutely. He has done everything we as the media wanted to see. Decision making, less turnovers, taking care of the ball, obviously, pushing it down the field, being a leader and commanding the offense. He's done all those things, and this will be a kind of full circle game because as you mentioned, he got his first start last season. Nebraska with the benching Miller Moss being thrust into that situation, kind of just Jaden, we need some going there. Played up and down those final 4 games, but he has really raised his floor. Obviously, this is something we've talked about this season, but he has been outstanding in terms of his development for the full offseason compared to what he was last year. So shocking. Yeah, I consider me shocked.
Riley also said that there have been no surprise redshirt players, anyone who's gone into the office and said, hey, I'm not playing as much as I want or whatever reason, I'd like to redshirt this year. Nothing like we saw with Bear Alexander a year ago. So always good just to check in on that. And we weren't surprised by that answer, but you never know with all the players that they have on a given roster. Encouraging news, and that speaks to the culture of the team.
Don't know who's taking the shirt. We got to ask.
Exactly right. We heard from some other offensive players today. You spent a lot of time with Tanuk Hines, who had a really solid performance against Notre Dame. Anytime as a true freshman, you're a team's highest graded player on Pro Football Focus on offense. That's noteworthy to me. That was a big spot for him. He looked really good. What did he have to say today?
I like talking to Tanuk, excuse me. That was a weird series of words, but he's a good speaker relative for a true freshman. And we, me and Keely were interviewing him, and we asked him about, his growth from like coming in as a freshman week 1 to now coming out of this bye week going into their 8th game of the season. So he says he's grown a lot. Everything has slowed down for him, and that includes, not just, playing college football and long nights learning Lincoln Riley's offense. He was like, it was pretty tough, but he had a lot of people to lean on. But just being a college student in general, with getting used to a college schedule and having a lot more freedom and living on your own and class schedule and all that stuff, something everyone has gone through at this point. But we weren't playing football. We weren't playing high-level football. So on top of all that, it's a lot to handle. So he's been adjusting really well. He's really happy about where he is. And, coming off a career high number of receptions and yardage in that game. And he got a lot of looks and did some stuff with those. Wish he connected some more on some other big catches, maybe a touchdown or 2. If you don't know, Notre Dame was his other big finalist with USC in his recruitment. So he said he had a little bit of an extra chip on his shoulder playing against those guys. He knew a lot of those guys on the other side, on the field and on the sideline. So he had that extra little bit of motivation, but I think USC fans would be very happy that they got what they got in Tanuk Hines and South Bend for the rest of the season, because he was a difference maker in that game and someone they were leaning on to make plays with, Mekhi Lemon being, having a tough matchup with Leonard Moore and all that. So hopefully that opens up a little bit more, but, this is a tough Nebraska secondary they're going to go up against this weekend.
Speaking of that Leonard Moore matchup, I asked Lemon if there was anything from the film that he learned about how defenses might play him going forward or just about his game. And he just said, no, I got to avoid making mistakes and just keep doing what I'm doing. And that's what the team needs to continue to do to pick up road victories. They see it more of, if we execute, we'll win. It's a lack of execution which has resulted in some of these road losses. So we'll see how they respond against Nebraska. And then speaking of Tanuk Hines, so I asked Mekhi Lemon, does Tanuk remind you of yourself when you were a freshman? And I thought this was funny. He said, yes, he does. He's a dog. He's got that dog in him. And I like how Mekhi referred to himself as a dog. That's the confidence you're looking for.
Yeah, dogs identify other dogs. And I asked Tanuk about that. He's like, where does that mentality come from? He says, it's something my father instilled in me when I was younger. Never let me, get punked or anything like that. I'm going to be out there and be a dog, if you will, and have that mindset. And obviously, there is some more other comparisons to, Mekhi Lemon. Mekhi was a really good athlete coming out of Los Al. Could have played college cornerback. In fact, he did play college cornerback for USC as a freshman when they had those, injuries, which seems crazy. Like a legit Biletnikoff candidate was playing cornerback for USC as a true freshman due to the injuries and did pretty well. And Tanuk could have played cornerback probably out of high school as well. That's the position he actually started with. Asked him a little bit about his football journey. He was like, he actually started playing out as a cornerback, then it became a running back, then a quarterback, and then a linebacker, and then a wide receiver. So he's played all over the field. And I asked him, do you miss any of those other positions? Or was or wide receiver where you're meant to be? He was kind of like, all the roads, you take the paths and the roads will lead you there. So it didn't seem like he missed any of those positions. And, with that speed, I think wide receiver was the only option for him. Not the only option, but the best option given his explosiveness.
Totally agree with you. It sounds like, Chris, on the offensive line, there was another barbecue that Tobias Raymond leads. A lot of burgers, a lot of dogs. It would be fun to hang out with those guys in general, but it would be fun to hang out with those guys just to see how much food goes down at those things.
I wish I was part of that. I was 60 hamburgers, 40 dogs, I think. I could take down, I could do some damage on some glizzies. I'm known as Glizzy McGuire, so I could have helped put a dent in those, but yeah, that's a whole nother level of barbecue competition, eaten with a bunch of D1 linemen.
Yes, absolutely. Walker Lyons spoke today. He said he's happy with how he's played in the first 7 games. Of course, always room to grow, but he did some self-evaluation and is like what he's seen. He's learned a lot from Lake McCree. He mentioned how Nebraska's defense is very physical, and the pass defense for them, Lincoln Riley talked about this, has been really good for Nebraska. Something's got to give Saturday in Lincoln, Chris, when USC is the number 1 passing offense in the country, and Nebraska has the number 2 secondary in the country in terms of yards per game. I think USC is the edge, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of the determining factors, obviously, or matchups of this game, obviously. I think USC will be able to throw the ball. I'm not saying they're going to throw for like 600 yards, but this is by far the best passing offense that Nebraska has faced. 2 of the best receivers they have faced this season, so it's a different level of competition they're going to be facing with this USC passing attack. I think USC is going to be able to move the ball through the air, but more importantly, Nebraska really struggles in run defense, and that's got to be where USC has to flex their muscles a little bit. They need to be balanced. They need to be able to run the ball, maybe get Elijah Page back, run behind those Twin Towers back there. Obviously, the run game wasn't the best against Notre Dame, so they need a bounce back in that regard. But if they can be balanced, run the ball, shorten up some stuff, I think they're going to have more success in the passing game. And it's going to be a tough night for Nebraska's defense if USC is able to run and then get those throws off like we know they can.
Run to set up the pass, a tale as old as time. It's a very unique matchup because what Nebraska does well, USC can counter, and vice versa with the passing offense. And the sacks for USC have been there earlier in the year. They've dried up a little bit. Nebraska gave up, I think, 9 sacks to Minnesota, which was a really awful game from that offensive line. They're dealing with some offensive line injuries, so there will be some really unique matchups in this one. And on paper, USC should have a great chance, but those road games against opponents like this, I don't think Nebraska is this great team, but they're 6-2. They're respectable. Don't want to take anything away from them. Like, on paper, I like what USC's got, but we'll see.
I can't do anything with on paper for USC this season. I mean, this is a struggling,
especially on the road.
Especially on the road, this is a struggling Nebraska offensive line. They battled some injuries. They just lost their right tackle for the year with a knee injury. Their left tackle missed last week against Northwestern. He should be back, but he's banged up. One of their
the Alabama transfer, do you know? Off the top of your head?
Not him. It's the other one.
Is he the right tackle?
Pritchard?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not him. It's Gula, something like that.
Sorry, putting you on the spot.
Sorry. What are you doing to me? Cut it all. No, but he missed the game, so he's banged up. Their right guard had a dislocated finger with their bones sticking out, had to get surgery. He still played last week.
Football guy.
Football guy. Stamped that on him. Nebraska, Midwest. So he's a little banged up. Again, their whole offensive line is banged up in some regard. But at this point in the season, we were talking about Champaign and Illinois and their offensive line, which was giving up similar number of sacks. Nebraska's given up 26 sacks this season, which is among the worst in the FBS. And they've given up 44 tackles for a loss. That's a lot of tackles for a loss. But what did Illinois do? They actually shut down USC's defensive front. Obviously, a little bit of different circumstances because Illinois had a come-to-Jesus moment against Indiana, so they were able to use that motivation. Nebraska's just been doing Nebraska things on the offensive line and kind of been struggling all in all, so they haven't had that look inward kind of moment. So I don't know if you're going to get the best game in Nebraska's offensive line, but still, USC's defense has to take advantage from it. We can look at it all we can on paper, but at the end of the day, who cares about what's on paper? Got to do it on the field. They got to go out there and actually take down Dylan Raiola, get in the backfield, take down Emmett Johnson. So a lot is riding on this defensive front to actually take advantage of a tasty matchup for once.
Maybe that Minnesota game was their come-to-Jesus moment?
Yeah, I mean, they gave up 9 sacks. Yeah. Nebraska only has 12 sacks on the season.
Crazy. The last thing, Nebraska has a good running back, Emmett Johnson, even though they've had some offensive line struggles. That'll be an interesting matchup, too, going against a run defense that has a lot to prove after Notre Dame. But, Chris, we have the rest of the week to get into this matchup. That's just a little appetizer for you out there. Any final thoughts on today's practice?
I'm going to wear shorts tomorrow. It's supposed to be hotter tomorrow than it was today. So
too hot.
Up past 90 degrees probably. So, yeah, heat wave. I don't know what's going on. We're almost in November. What's going on? Weather, get it together.
A lot of weather talk on this instant analysis.
They paid for it.
Yes, he's Chris Trevino, Connor Morrissette. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you tomorrow.